This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hi everybody, welcome to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. I'm Fred Wallace. Normally I'm joined by Denise Freed, but Denise is in the last leg of Living Well, if you will. She's in Curacao right now and will be joining us on our next episode of Living Well, Giving Well. Our host charity today is the YMCA of Owen Sound Grey Bruce, and we're joined by both Sarah Cowley, who's the CEO, and by April McMillan, who is the manager of fund development, and we'll be talking with them in just a moment. Our featured video today is the Bruce Peninsula Hospital Foundations, and that pertains to the two hospitals that are located at Wyerton and at Lions Head that provide rural health care, and they have a number of initiatives that you'll see during the course of the featured video. Denise, usually when she is here, talks about the concept of living well, giving well, and what we're about. And again, it's not as if we're operating a telethon when we do living well, giving well, but what we are asking is that you give consideration to leaving a charitable gift in your will to a specific charity. And it doesn't matter what charity it is, just leave a small percentage. It might be the YMCA of Owen Sound Grey Bruce. It might be Bruce Peninsula Hospital Foundation. Also, we've had the Canadian Mental Health Association, Habitat for Humanity, Chapman House. There's a lot of good charities, and I think both Sarah and April will tell us all about that. So on with our program today, and we want to welcome both of you to Living Well, Giving Well. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, Fred.
I mentioned your title, so let's start with you, Sarah. CEO, obviously that's a very prestigious title, or a very big title. Tell us about your work on a day-to-day basis.
It is, it's a very big position, Fred, as you can imagine, for a local charity. My job involves setting the strategic direction for the organization with the board of directors, and then supporting all of our program areas to deliver the services that they run across Grey and Bruce counties. It's complicated. It's about 5 businesses under one roof because of the services we provide. Through childcare, our community employment and settlement services. We have our health, fitness, and aquatics programs. We partner with the Rotary Club of Owen Sound to run Camp Presqu'île, our overnight camp. And then we have association services, which is all of our admin support and HR and finance. So it's growing. We're, I think, close to 300 staff now. And we've been growing over the last number of years.
That something? Yeah. How many people, I'll get to you in just a second, April, but you touched on about a half an hour of topics there.
Yep.
So, how unknown is the fact that you are that big and that vibrant, you know, to the average person who has a Y membership, who really is kind of staggered by that number of 300?
We talk about at the Y about how we are well known but not known well. And I think that really sums it up for our YMCAs across Canada. People know about the program that they're in touch with. So if you're an HFA member at Health, Fitness and Aquatics, you know about those services. If your family has children in childcare, you know about those services. If you've come to our employment programs or have settled in the area and need language services, you know about those programs. But what is challenging to get the message out about is about the breadth of programs that we run. And so that's something that we're focused on now with the Federation, so all of the YMCAs in Canada, through our Shine On brand campaign. So you might have seen commercials in the last little while about Shine On TV, and that's really to bring awareness to the sheer variety of services that we run across Canada.
Yeah, I see that every time I push the door. I see Shine On, or when I go down the stairs. So it's well marked. April, in your case, tell us about fund development and managing that.
Well, as one of the largest charities in the area, it's a big job. There's a lot of need. One of the missions of the YMCA is to make the Y accessible to everyone. So we have a financial assistance program called Strong Communities, in which anyone can access financial assistance so that they can have access to wellness and fitness programs, mind, body, and spirit, right?
Okay, so lots on the go. A lot of organizations and charities have functions, and we mentioned earlier Chapman House and the variety of things that they'll be doing with the shootout and Ribfest and those sort of things. Do you have specific events, or is your funding from memberships, or how do you go about funding, or is that a naive question on my part? There's probably lots of avenues. Can we talk about some of those?
Absolutely. There's We have a huge membership, so we have a lot of individuals that make one-time donations or monthly donations through our website. We don't host a lot of events since COVID. Things have changed and evolved in the way people do give back, but we have had many people include us in wills, their life insurance policies, or make a donation on Giving Tuesday or as their annual giving campaign. So we have a lot of support from our community.
It's great to see. And the membership fees, and again, I'm just using health, fitness, and aquatics is all that I'm using at the Y, but I find it to be extremely reasonable. No different than anything else in the neighborhood of some $30, I think, twice a month.
No, exactly. And some people can't afford that. So that is why we have our financial assistance program. So that's just one of the ways that people can give back and make sure that everybody has access.
This is Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television. I'm Fred Wallace. Today on the program, we're joined by Sarah Cowley and by April McMillan, and we're talking about the YMCA of Owen Sound, Grey Bruce. Another thing that I would probably not know, unless I did a little bit of digging on this, is the wide reach of service area that you're providing. Obviously, I know about the state-of-the-art facility that's at the top of the 10th Street incline in Owen Sound, but you go far beyond that facility.
We do, yes. So, I mean, that is our cornerstone facility, I would say, in Owen Sound, Grey Bruce. And the partnership with the City of Owen Sound has been wonderful to support us in providing that service at the Health, Fitness and Aquatic Centre. But we do cover the broad range of services for much of Grey Bruce. We don't reach all the corners yet. I would say not all 3,000 square kilometres of Grey Bruce gets covered by our services because some of our programs are still quite small. So for instance, our Youth in Transition program, we have 2 staff to cover Grey Bruce to help youth transition from child and family services into independent life. So some of our programs are very small and it's difficult to cover the geography, but we do continue to look for partnerships where we can also spread those services and share spaces. That's something we do over on the shoreline in Kincardine and Port Elgin now with Bruce County Services.
And again, from where we're sitting, which is not that far from the main facility, to drive to Kincardine is going to be the better part of 80 minutes. So that's a big expense. Tell us about the challenge, both for the services and for funding those services. We'll start with you, Sarah.
Sure. It's extremely challenging, Fred. What most people don't know is that only about 20% of our revenue comes from the Health, Fitness and Aquatic Centre and the membership fees that we have there. The other 80% is split pretty equally between childcare and our community and employment and settlement programs, and those are all funded by the provincial and federal government. So those programs really, the budgets are tied to what the government is willing to give us, and it's a challenge because still in a rural geography, the funding models don't cover all of the costs of running those services where you have to be traveling, where you have to be getting out to the other communities, the smaller communities. When we look at equitable access, it's still a really big challenge to get the dollars for those supports as well. So those are conversations we keep having with the government as we move along.
April, you're nodding your head.
I agree with everything. I'm not sure. I think, maybe looking at the other side of things is, how can people help us out? We're always looking for volunteers. We have individuals that are lifeguards that used to lifeguard as a teen and then have come back in their retired years and helping out that way, or teaching a fitness class or yoga and such. We have individuals that have been there for 35 years volunteering. So that's just one of the ways that helps out the community and helps out the Y and keeps us going.
Yeah, I know from my own perspective there have been days when somebody's been snowed in or somebody is sick and the pool can't open fully until you get somebody to come in. Is there an area of particular need or a priority area right now for the YMCA, Owen Sound, Grey Bruce, where you could really use volunteers or really use the funding?
I would say, maybe I'll speak out for both of us. I would say a couple areas. We've seen a rising increase in the need for financial assistance at our Health, Fitness and Aquatic Centre. So last year we put $181,000 into subsidizing memberships for our community members to access those services, which most people feel is a want and not a need. But for many families, it is a need. That upstream health, the impact of those upstream health activities can't be discounted when we're looking at the cost to families for health issues and their wellness as they move along. The year before, $181,000 last year, $83,000 the year before. So it's a significant increase in what we're seeing to the need to invest in that subsidy program. The other thing is looking at how we support programs where we maybe don't have full funding, to have staff, volunteers help out, so also spaces, right, to deliver the services. So we do look to partner with municipalities, other human service providers to look at shared space where maybe we would not have to pay the full amount of lease as well. Businesses are very helpful.
And this might be ignorant or naive on my part, but I've come right out and said that I find the fee, extremely reasonable, but not everybody has that opportunity, and I'm quite surprised, and I guess it's a reflection, April, of the challenge that's involved in funding all of the programs, especially something as basic as health, fitness, and aquatics.
Swim lessons for your kids, which we know is such a huge risk in the area. Right? Kids who are afraid of water, who've never had access to swim lessons, the risk is high for them in this region where we have water surrounding us. Right?
And I can tell you a personal story. I moved to Owen Sound from Midland in 1984, and in the summer of 1985, my first summer here, I was surprised at the number of people my age in their mid-20s who said they couldn't swim or didn't swim, and I was really surprised by that. How big is your aquatic program right now, or the lesson program?
So we've gotten back up to our pre-COVID staffing numbers in our aquatics program. So we have over 50 lifeguards now, full and part-time, which is wonderful, and we're able to offer close to 400 spaces for swim lessons for children every session, which is it averages between 8 and 10 weeks a session. Okay. So
and one of your swimmers might not be Abigail Rice, but she's the granddaughter of Tom Rice, and I have to feel really gratified for him and for everybody connected to the facility. Like, how great is that facility for the city of Owen Sound and the region?
Yeah, it's so wonderful. Tom Rice and Sonia Mount, along with Gail Graham, the previous CEO, did such wonderful work in leading the capital campaign to get that building developed with the city. Couldn't have done it without the support of the community. They raised over $6.5 million in the community to put towards that capital campaign, and that was all through individual donors and the founder donor, of course, for the naming rights, Julie MacArthur Regional Recreation Centre.
Yeah. And as a footnote, Sonia Mount grew up on Ellen Street in Midland, Ontario, so I'm well familiar with the 5 mounts. So. Finally, is there an area that you're concentrating on, April, in terms of generating funds for a specific program or a specific need? And I might even ask about the maintenance of the building, because it is a beautiful building, but it's a building, and maintenance is required 24/7.
Absolutely. The capital is ongoing. We're looking at $1.5 million over the next 5 years, I believe. So, we want to keep that building state of the art. We want it to look brand new. We want people to continue to tell us how wonderful and clean and well kept it is. So the capital is definitely something we're concentrating on. The financial assistance is where I put my heart. I also have a personal story as well. The Y helped me at a time where I needed help. About 13 years ago, I had to start over, me and just my 2 girls, and the Y was there for me. So without trying to get all teary-eyed and such, but I got my kids in subsidized daycare. I was able to get back up on my feet. My kids were able to be immersed with other kids, so I got the financial assistance, but we also, more importantly, is we got the connection. And that's what a lot of people talk about, is the sense of community that the Y is. We're our own little family. We're our own community, and that's what the Y is all about. It's more, it's a hub of the community.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. When we do come back, we're going to take a quick break on Living Well, Giving Well, and we've got one of our featured videos from one of our partnering charities today. It's Bruce Peninsula Hospital Foundation. Again, those are the hospitals located at Lions Head and at Wyerton, who have a tremendous reputation for service in our region, and obviously a facility and a pair of facilities that want to keep maintain that standard of service. So we're going to go to that video, and then we'll be back with more with Sarah and April today. This is Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television.
Hi, I'm Brian Taylor. I'm a board director with the Bruce Peninsula Hospitals Foundation. The mission we have on our foundation is to provide exceptional rural care for the folks on the peninsula, and we do that by raising funds for our hospitals in Lions Head and Wyerton. So the foundation exists to bridge the gap in funding that is missing from the government. So the government provides funds for capital, for building a new building, putting new equipment in, and for the operating expenses of the hospitals, like paying the staff. But maintaining that equipment and adding new equipment and training staff is not covered by government funds, so we have to do that ourselves. So if we want to keep our hospitals current and keep the technology up to date and safe and efficient, then we have to raise the funds to do that. And along with that, if we don't have good equipment, we're not going to attract good staff. You need to look at it this way. If you or one of your loved ones, your friends, your family, have to come to emergency in Lions Head or in Wyerton, if we have state-of-the-art equipment and people who are skilled at using that equipment, you'll get really good care. So just look at it as if you're supporting yourself or somebody in your family or one of your friends. Would you want them to go to a place where things aren't up to date, up to speed, and the staff aren't energized and keen to look after you? By donating, you help support that cause.
Welcome back to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers TV, Grey County. I'm Fred Wallace, along with Sarah Cowley and April McMillan, who are joining us from the YMCA of Owen Sound, Grey Bruce. We do want to thank the Bruce Peninsula Hospital Foundations for being a part of Living Well, Giving Well. Again, they're looking at rural access, and in the case of probably a few days ago, people were stranded on Bruce Peninsula, and isn't it nice to know that there are 2 hospitals along with a variety of other services up there. They do have, it's called Keeping Care Close to Home, where you can make a monthly donation, and you can get all the details at their webpage, bphfoundation.com. That's bphfoundation.com. And again, if you've had to use that service or you live in that region, you know how important those 2 hospitals are. Here in the city of Owen Sound and in the counties of Grey and Bruce, we're quite impressed with the YMCA of Owen Sound, Grey Bruce. Just before we left, April, you were talking about your own personal connection, and as you were talking, I was thinking about Amy McConaughey, who is extremely involved with Chapman House and the Grey Bruce Hospice, and her involvement stems strictly from being involved in the first place, having a parent who was using that service. And you have come from pretty much a similar scenario. You used the Y, used their services, and now are a big part of the YMCA. Is your story unfamiliar, or are you seeing lots of people taking similar advantage?
You know, my story is not unique, absolutely. Our head of housekeeping has been there for how many years? 30 years?
Over 30 years now.
And she started as a volunteer. We have lifeguards, the same thing. They took swimming lessons and they're now lifeguards, camp counselors as well. So my story is certainly not unique. And when Sarah approached me with the opportunity to become the fundraiser, it was a great way for me to give back to my community. So it gives me great pride in knowing that if I can help one person, which we help thousands of people across Grey Bruce, it feels pretty good.
Now, was that your field of excellence or experience, fundraising, or is this something that you had to learn and enjoy as you went along?
My background's business and advertising, so I'm a bit of an entrepreneur, but I also my partner lives with autism, so you know, I'm always looking to help. Like I think that is my nature. That is in my heart is helping others. So this is a great way to do it, and I get paid.
and when you mentioned advertising, I'm surprised the radio station hasn't jumped all over you. If not the Sun Times, but the Sun Times now is not the Sun Times. We have a new location in the Sun Times. Tell me about that building at I believe it would be 290 9th Street East.
It is, yes. We, as soon as I took the job in the middle of COVID, my board said to me, you know what, we really want to look for kind of another flagship building and bring all of our services in Owen Sound together so that we can have everybody in the same building. We had staff across 4 different locations in Owen Sound, and so I started looking for space. And 18 months ago, I got a cold call, and they said, we've got a building, and we think you might want to meet with the owner. And I did. And it moved very quickly from there. Again, without the generous support of a local business, Andy Smith and JP Commercial Contracting, who own the building, we would not have been able to move into that site. It's now custom renovated for our services. All of our administration staff are there, our childcare leadership is there, and all of the community employment and settlement and language services in Owen Sound are in that building. And it's a presence in downtown, in a downtown core that needs that kind of presence and support. I know the City of Owen Sound has expressed their pleasure about us being in that building, but again, couldn't have done it without the financial support of the owner.
Okay.
He really stepped up to help us get into that building and to have a really nice space for everyone.
This is a very nosy question, but do you own the building or do you rent? Or
We're tenants, we lease.
You're tenants,
Yeah,
okay.
we're tenants.
So tell me about the renovations that were done inside to turn it from what had become a cavernous former news place. You know, the last time I was in it, I couldn't believe the open spaces that nothing was being done to the facility that you have now.
Yeah, Andy did a total renovation, so it's all new plumbing, all new electrical in the building, air handling is up to date, and it really took it back to the studs of the interior, and then we co-designed it. We picked out the finishes, we looked at the layout, we worked with the architect to really build it to be a purposeful space for our staff and the community to really come together and meet around services that are needed in the downtown core.
It hasn't been there that long, but have you seen the benefits almost immediately?
We have, yes. The access for people in the community, and Andy made the building fully accessible for us as well. So the access for people in the downtown core to be able to walk in and ask for help when they really need it has been integral. It's also been wonderful for my administration team to be in the same building where services like that are being delivered, to be present and to be able to see the impact that their work has,
Right.
even though they're one step removed.
So what's inside the building? What's inside the new Y, or the old Sun Times, whatever you want to call it, the 9th Street facility?
Yeah, so we have a resource center where community members and clients can come in and use computers. They can work on job searches and house searches and work on resume building with our staff. We have group rooms where we do language classes for people who are newcomers to the area who need to learn English. We also have open space where we can have team meetings for all of the staff who are working in various regions. We have a nice boardroom that we can use now. Our board has never had a space like that to be able to come together and oversee the business. Right? It is a growing business. We're a $16 million charity now in Grey Bruce. And there's a lot of complexity to it. So nice space. We have community meetings come in.
A lot of services, and one that would surprise me is as living in Simcoe or North Simcoe, and then now in Owen Sound, is English is not a first language that you're catering to or that you're providing a service for.
Yes. Yeah.
Lots of need.
Lots of need. Yeah,
Okay.
there is lots of need. Yeah. So we have workers with various cultural backgrounds as well. Different capacity to speak different languages is always key, especially in those language classes, as people are moving into the region and want to connect, and they want to feel that it's their community too, right? So to learn the language is a really important part of that.
So we've got every level of, and maybe every community does, but here in Grey Bruce, there's obviously maybe a higher percentage of seniors, but also obviously youngsters as well. In your funding, is there an area, is there an aspect that you see as being a priority for funding and having programs available for at the younger base, or is it at the older base?
So we just finished our strategic plan last year, and we focus on, because of our community, is our seniors, our older adults. So we just added some more programming there. Also our families. So there is more swimming lessons being offered and the programming there. And also on that note too is our childcare. We actually, a lot of people don't know this, we are the largest childcare provider across Grey Bruce. We have...
How big are in that class? Because when I come out of the pool and walk by the gym, there's kids everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's just the stay and play is just one part of that, right? We have 5 childcare centers, early learning childcare centers across Grey Bruce, and we run 15 before and after school programs built into schools as well. So it's a very large program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is living well, giving well. I just kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. Just thinking about the things that I see at the Y on a daily basis. Our guests today are Sarah Cowley, who's the CEO of Owen Sound Grey Bruce YMCA, and also April McMillan is with us, who's the manager of funding development. The reason that I lost my train of thought is I'm going back 15 years to when the project was nearing completion, and there was a radio talk show, and one of the calls was, well, there's nothing there for seniors. 15 years later, that makes me laugh out loud. It's not all that I see are seniors, but the senior population, my age and older, are getting great benefits, certainly in Owen Sound, and I take it across the region.
Definitely. We, at the YMCA, we try to look at where the need is for every age and stage, because we're about families, and I think that is our niche. We said, regardless of how many other fitness centers, came up in Owen Sound or Grey Bruce, it never impacted our membership because we have a particular focus on families and all ages. So I think that is really important when we're looking at the wellness. We do try to tailor to everybody and make it accessible. We also partner with other programs as well. So we partner with Bright Shores Health System for cardiac rehab, Parkinson's Society for Rock Steady Boxing. We're in talks with other community health groups around other programming that we could start to implement so that it really supports our seniors too.
And it's not like you're a healthcare provider, but periodically on the upper track, I'll see exactly what you're talking about. So it's basically people helping people or business helping business all throughout the city.
Well, I laugh because just recently we had this conversation. I'm a registered nurse by background, and I said to people, what we do at the YMCA is health related. Everything we do promotes health at the YMCA, whether you're talking about employment services or helping people find a home in our homelessness prevention program that we partner with Bruce County on, swim lessons, any of the programs we run at the Health, Fitness and Aquatic Center, childcare, it's all about health, right? We're building healthy communities. That's what we do.
We've got to motor along. Let's talk about volunteers. Number one, for the programs that you offer. Is there a specific program that could really use volunteers, and what would be required?
I would say probably the biggest need right now that we're looking to rebuild after COVID, where we lost a lot of volunteers, is related to our Health, Fitness and Aquatic Center. There's always programs and services that can use support from volunteers, and that is something that we're working on. It really, I know it hit a lot of organizations who have volunteers hard through COVID because people stopped out of safety concerns, and so that is an area that we're looking to build back.
Lifeguards in particular, but where else am I missing here that volunteers can be utilized?
Well, it's funny because that's often a question that comes up, and I always give it back to that person too. What is your superpower? What do you like to do? So, somebody likes cycling, so they could teach a cycling class, or we have an individual that is wheelchair bound, so she does wheelchair yoga, and it's fantastic. So it's just whatever your special superpower is, and you can help the Y, and you have a new idea for a class, come talk to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they want to talk to you specifically, April, about funding or donating or leaving something in their will, how do they get in touch with you?
They can contact me through the website, fundraising at YMCA. I think I messed it up. But they go to the website and just go to our contact page. They don't have to remember any emails, and just send us an email.
You're not that hard to find, right?
No.
And Sarah, final thoughts on the YMCA Owen Sound Grey Bruce?
It has been a pleasure to join this organization and to see the impact that it has across Grey Bruce. The history, 147 years strong, working in Grey Bruce and Owen Sound specifically, and the services provided, we can't underestimate the impact they have, and donors and volunteers are really key in us being able to continue to do that for the next 147 years.
Well, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it. This is Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. We want to thank all of our guests, and again, consider leaving a gift in your will to a charity, be it the YMCA of Owen Sound Grey Bruce, or Bruce Peninsula Hospital Foundation, Canadian Mental Health Association, Habitat for Humanity, Chapman House. There are many great causes, and you can make a difference. Thanks again. We'll see you again next time on Rogers Television with Living Well, Giving Well.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
RTV Sports Wrap every Wednesday as myself, Spencer Byers, and our esteemed panel talk about everything you need to know going on in football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and soccer as we joust about what's going on in sports, keeping you up to date on Rogers TV.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university, so they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by